The following segment is sponsored by Daniel A. White and Associates. It does not necessarily reflect the views of WDEL or Forever Media. Rick Jensen on 1150 AM, 1017 FM, WDEL.
Well, I've been a client of Dan White's for many, many years and quite pleased. In fact, I was listening to him last year that led me to move my retirement investments from individual stocks. I had like 80% of my investments in individual stocks. And talking with him about the Federal Reserve raising interest rates, and he reminded me of history of that. And I said, it's probably a pretty good idea. By January 1 of this year, instead of being 80% in the stocks, and I'm talking individual companies, that's the way I've done it for many, many years with my rollover IRAs, I've been down to like 20% now. Just some companies I want to hang on to. My God, am I glad I listened to Dan White. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it, buddy. You're on the air.
No problem, Rick.
So you wrote this great blog entitled Why Our Faith in the Fed is Misplaced. I just want you to share that with our listeners today.
Yeah, it was something I came across, and, it was interesting. It said the Federal Reserve should win the award for the best place to work because it's so good at the Fed, people don't ever leave. It was interesting. I had no idea, and I'm not going to mention any names, but the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland, you have the president and chief executive officer, and she's a voting member of the Federal Open Market Committee. That's the body that decides the interest rate on our money. She joined the Fed in 1985, right after she got her Ph.D. from Princeton, and she's never had another job. And while there's nothing wrong with that, I think the longevity of this Fed governor and many of the others helps breed a sense of confidence at the Fed that they're always going to be right, even in the face of evidence that says otherwise.
Yeah, I personally, I would like to have more people in charge of money supply, if we even need that, but that's a different conversation. But I would like them to have quite a bit of real-world experience, please.
Yeah, well, that doesn't happen.
Right.
So she's never worked anywhere else. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York president, he's been at the Fed his whole career. St. Louis, Kansas City, San Francisco, Chicago, Atlanta, and Boston, and the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas. All 8 of those presidents have never held a job outside the Fed.
You know, what's striking about that is a couple of them have intimated that perhaps a recession might be coming, and yet there's the Philly Fed, and Harker has not been, he's had other jobs, president of the University of Delaware and such like that, and over there, they don't think the recession's coming. Every private sector economists that I'm reading are saying that there are definitely recession signals in the marketplace and the economy right now. And so I'm very concerned when I hear people at the Fed saying, well, go ahead.
Yeah, a lot of economists today are saying we're in a recession.
Yeah.
Now, a recession is defined as 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP. Well, we know the first quarter of this year we had negative GDP. So if the second quarter is negative, that we are in a recession. That is the definition of a recession. But it's kind of interesting. I'll give you some quotes from this Fed president in Cleveland, which is kind of amazing. February 28, 2021, I expect some higher inflation measures in the next couple months, but that is different from underlying inflation levels reaching 2%.
Ouch.
April 5th, 2021, I am unconcerned with inflation running away from us. May 14th, I'd like to see inflation rise to 2% or higher.
Nice.
In August 27th of last year, by the end of the year, I expect inflation to be between 3.5% and 4%, with it dropping in 2022. September 24th of 2021, inflation will be little more than 2% in the next year.
Aren't we at something like 8.7% or something extraordinary like that?
8.5%, 9%. Yeah, we haven't seen these numbers in 40 years. So I bring this all up because the Fed has been, they've been saying from day one inflation's transitory, supply chain issues. They're going to sort themselves out soon enough. The 2% target will become reality once again. They're oftentimes they're wrong. And, the old mantra on Wall Street, don't fight the Fed. Well, when the Fed was keeping interest rates at zero, the market just kept going up and up and up. But they've come out and told you, hey, we've had 2 rate increases. We're liable to have 6 to 8 to 10 more increases, and the market's already down 15, 16%. They've only raised interest rates twice. So don't fight the Fed. If they're raising rates, you might want to reassess your exposure to the market.
Dan, you were cautioning us about this last year, and I appreciate that. I mean, seriously, a year ago you were cautioning about this sort of thing. And when all these, Nobel laureates and others were saying, oh, it's going to be transitory, whatever, and printing money doesn't cause inflation, you were on here saying, don't believe it. And I'm glad you were here doing that, sir.
Well, it's kind of crazy. I just wrote a blog today, and this is even more mind-boggling. In the one bill that President Biden passed, let me pull that out real quick. This was one of the stimulus packages last year. It was
the 1.7 trillion
American Rescue Plan. Yeah, the American Rescue Plan gave $350 billion to state and local governments. A lot of that money is going untapped. And what are they doing now? This is crazy stuff, right? They're in Kansas. They're slashing the state's grocery sales tax. They're giving $1,000 tax rebates to households hobbled by high gas prices. Iowa, Indiana, Idaho have all cut state income taxes this year. So this is the crazy part. They had all this stimulus, which has created high inflation. Now the state governments, which were given some of this money in the stimulus packages, are giving residents tax breaks to help them fight inflation.
yeah.
Everything that caused inflation, they're pouring gas on the fire. They're going to make it worse.
That cartoon of the snake eating itself from the tail. That's exactly what we're living through right now. By the way, you can read these blogs and learn so much at danwhiteandassociates.com, danwhiteandassociates.com. They got online early, folks, and so they didn't realize that's a lot of typing to do. But it's danwhiteandassociates.com, and read the blogs there. So good advice, always great advice, Dan. I really appreciate you. Folks, you can give Dan a call at 888-690-8820, 888-690-8820. And on Sunday mornings, you can listen to Dan White as well, give advice at 7 o'clock in the morning, right? And what's on this Sunday?
This Sunday is kind of interesting. We talked a little bit about how the 60-40, stock and bond portfolio is kind of dead. I mean, if you're in a 60-40 bond portfolio, 60% stock, 40% bonds, that's on pace, inflation adjusted, to lose 49% this year.
Seriously,
so the show. Yeah, seriously. I mean, where's the safe haven, right?
Right.
So the show is about what could be a bond alternative. Well, these products called indexed annuities could be a really nice bond alternative to somebody that's looking at a 60-40 stock bond allocation.
Those aren't those vehicles where you could also invest, tax deferred?
You can. You can use IRA money. You can use non-IRA money. It's whatever you want to do.
Good deal. All right, on the money, 7 a.m. Sunday here on the WDEL 1150 a.m. and 101.7 FM. Thanks, Dan. Really appreciate it, man. That's stunning stuff right there. It's just stunning about the Federal Reserve and the 60-40 retirement theme, which has been a major theme for a lot of time. Anyway.
For 40 years.
Yeah, 40 years. So offices in Middletown, also Glen Mills, right over the border there, 888-690-8820. Thanks, Dan. Really appreciate you, dude. I really do.
Have a great day, Rick.
You too. And go Phils.